The views and opinions of the King Life podcast do not reflect the views and opinions of WWSU Radio, Wright State University, nor their entities.
Hello, people, and welcome to the 5th ever edition of the King Life podcast with yours truly, Josiah Willis, alongside my co-host and good friend, Anthony Lombardo.
Hey, guys.
Today, we will discuss the impact of the film Silver Linings Playbook, how it relates to mental health, different yet very influential video games, music preferences, and our plans going forward with this podcast. Anthony, bro, how do you feel about this new set we have?
Man, it is sweet. We got this soundboard and stuff, and these professional seeming mics and stuff.
Levels.
Yeah, and
There's levels to this.
yeah, in case you guys don't know what we're talking about for our old listeners, but
Sure.
we have improved our setup. We're now going to be conjoining with the WWSU radio, where you can hear us in the Fairmont and Dayton area on 106.9. And for those who are now listening, we also have a YouTube channel that is called the King Life Podcast, where you will have about the same dates for shows and stuff. So you can just watch it there or on the radio, but
Yep.
choices. And I am very happy to be doing this here.
100%. Me too, bro.
We have been taking the past, week? More than that?
Yeah, we was going over a few days, getting prepared and
Yeah.
and handed instruction after instruction, guidelines after guidelines. And so it was a process, bro, but all it took was a convincing Anthony over here and about, hey, bro, because I think the idea was we were looking for a better space, a better room for us to do our podcast and how we wanted to have it set up. And Anthony kept just like, we got to have it somewhere else. And I think it'd be much cozier.
I wasn't
if
being
we do
angry
that.
at you, but
No, you weren't. No, you weren't. I'm just, like acting in a sense. Like
I got
that's
you,
what we
I
do.
got
We act. But no, I'm playing games around here, you guys. But anyways, so it took convincing. Anthony was like, okay, around here on campus where we stay at, we are attendees at Wright State University. And so Anthony and I had a good talk while we was eating lunch. He said, bro, we should go down to the Creative Arts Center. Perhaps maybe when we get down there, we could record our podcast in a more safer space, a more relaxed space to where we want to hear fans in the background, us drinking water or eating snacks, or just getting anything interfering within our podcast where it wouldn't sound polished or enough.
And this is, for new viewers, we had a lot of trouble with our other space. We were in this study room, and it got hot because we had to turn off the AC and all these other problems. But now we have available to us all of the radio equipment and stuff. Maybe you want to expound on how that happened?
Yeah, so before we got to the radio equipment, it was all about convincing Anthony here.
I don't know about that,
well, I wouldn't say I convinced you, but
we were bouncing around ideas for a new space.
Right, and I just said, how about before we get to the Creative Arts Center, we just go meet at WWSU Radio and see if they have a space for us. Of course, I may have overthought and was like, hey, maybe a space that probably be near them, but it wouldn't be over where they're at.
We were both thinking something like
Yeah,
that.
something that was kind of like different outside the box, and I wasn't too confident, or I was giving second thoughts about maybe wanting to go into the radio platform in general. But then eventually it went to, oh, y'all have a podcast? You and Anthony here both? Y'all can use our stuff.
Yeah, they were being super nice about everything. And
Yes.
they were, it was just cool because they were saying, you'll have to take a few training videos and stuff. Like, training videos?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
We want to learn more about how to do podcasts and stuff, because that's what we've been working really hard for the past few weeks, right?
Yes.
Something like that. And they just gave us like some editing tutorials and stuff, and it's like awesome because they're giving us the tools that we needed to successfully have our podcast the way we want it to be.
100%. And then when we just really got to the point where they was having us say, we gotta do this, we gotta go ahead and email this towards them, that
Yeah.
information, and we put so much work after we spent on this for like hours, and like day by
We
day.
would take days off
Yes.
to just work on podcast stuff.
Yes.
And that's pretty much how
Yeah.
we handled the podcast. Every day we did, we would use pretty much the whole day just focusing on it, which ain't too great for schoolwork and stuff. But
Yep.
you know how it is. Sometimes other things take priority, even if they shouldn't. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
for sure. And we made sure to leave the viewers, the current viewers that we did have, the ones who support us back when we started doing the podcast initially. We let them an update regarding our channel and seeing where we're going to be at, and that's why we are here right now.
yeah, and for new listeners and stuff, or old ones too, the channel will try to have a few it's not gonna have video, it's not gonna have live feed of our faces, which is unfortunate, mostly because OBS is a huge pain.
Wah,
but,
wah, wah, wah.
Oh well. We will try to have some visual elements to help out over there, but mostly this is going to stay audio until we can get our stuff together.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, I had shown you recently Silver Linings Playbook. What'd you think of it?
Thought it was great, bro. Exceptional performances from Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, Chris Tucker, my man, Black Power, and then Robert De Niro. Come on, man. Like, obviously, Robert De Niro, he can't do no wrong.
Yeah, it's a fantastic cast. This is a 2012 movie, something like that.
That's a good point.
But it's a really good movie. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because it's my favorite movie of all time. And
he kind of like forced me. He put a gun to my head. It was like, bro, you better watch this movie.
For sure, man.
Or, hey, I'm taking you out.
By the way, I have a gun up to him right now, but we'll ignore that. Josiah, do you want to talk about what the movie's about? And then I'll get into why I like it so much.
Yeah. So I believe it's about a mental patient who was getting out of an institution. Sorry, I'm about to say intuition. Institution, and is basically coming out of it after spending his time there for 8 months, and he's coming out trying to reconcile his relationship with his wife, who is separated from him, and he also is someone who is diagnosed with bipolar disorder. But he's not convinced that he's trying to better himself, like, as time goes on, from where he used to be, and how he may have been a bad person with a certain reputation.
Yeah, and he runs into Jennifer Lawrence, but her name's Tiffany.
Yeah, and she's also going through her own fair share of issues.
Yeah, the movie is basically around different people who kind of have, well, I know Bradley Cooper, he has bipolar disorder in the movie, and then the Jennifer Lawrence, she's kind of like a what would you call that?
Like a anger, like someone who would be placed in anger management or something like that.
But it's not just that. It's
it's more to it than her.
Like sex addict as well, but it has a very particular reason, and it's a very good reason.
Right.
But
she's a widowed character as well, right? Because her husband in the movie died, I believe, after a car accident or something.
Yeah. It's not. Ooh, is this a spoiler?
Not necessarily, because it's been out for years and eons. Yeah. So, like,
you had your
if you haven't seen it, you haven't seen it. It's your fault.
We aren't gonna go too much into spoilers, but you know,
it's all love.
If getting the fact that Tiffany was a widow spoiled, which is kind of established at the beginning of the movie, so you don't worry about it anyway. But the story is taking place with these characters who have mental illnesses, kind of, including his dad and stuff. And it shows kind of how their lives are, and how they think about things, and how they ain't that much different than us.
Yeah.
And it shows it in a very, in my opinion, poetic way.
It starts off really negative, and then at some point in time, it builds to that positive. And that's what I love about this film, was that it didn't show mental health in a way where, and this is not me saying it, of course it's reality of what goes on mental health in real time, but when it came to that movie, it showed that even with him having that diagnosis or that disorder, he was able to cope with getting better and improving on his relationship with not only with his family, but then his friends and then people that he will get to know, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I love about the film is that it can relate to so many people that's out there dealing with mental health issues, but it was done in a way where it built it towards that like that cliche but happy ending. You know what I'm saying? And I felt
Mhm.
like that's what that movie recaptured, and that was the essence of what Bradley Cooper did wonderfully. Because there was, it was funny. He was pushing back from not wanting to portray that character at first, but he was convinced that it would be a great challenge for him to redo it, and he was spot on, bro. Throughout the whole entire film, like the little nuances, the attention to details, the just the way he played that character and his full body language and everything was
Yeah,
just,
Bradley Cooper was
oh
awesome
my
in that.
god.
So was Robert De Niro and Jennifer Lawrence. I didn't think Jennifer Lawrence could really play a character like that.
Robert
But
De Niro is underrated,
underrated? What you mean? He's a
completely underrated.
great. Everyone knows him.
No, I mean like throughout the film, he wasn't the main focus, but when he did have his moments to do like certain scenes, he was just so underrated. Like the OCD crazy, I'm gonna just move this remote,
I mean,
and then
I will say when it
yeah,
comes to the order of like the cast and stuff, Robert De
sure.
Niro's always on top.
No, no, I know, no. I mean, when I mean underrated, I'm not saying that his level or his status isn't like big and huge, and we don't know him for doing movies like uh
You're saying
Goodfellas or anything like that.
you're saying he could be more recognized for this particular movie.
I was saying that Bradley Cooper stood out to me the most as the actor that really shined.
Sure.
Everybody shined
Good
in their
films
own
too, in
way.
my
Like
opinion.
Chris Tucker even shined. He had moments where he could shine, be funny and silly and all that jazz. But Robert De Niro, the moments where he was playing the OCD character of just I love my son, but I know my son. I haven't been around his life too much because I didn't know how to deal with him being bipolar. Or later on, comes to find out that he's OCD and he wants to watch football. He's touching things and he just has this necessity. But that scene where he talks to Bradley Cooper, and Bradley Cooper's in the bed, and he just pours his heart out to him, and he's emotionally. That was the moment where I really got emotionally invested into Robert De Niro. And then that scene with him and Jennifer Lawrence, when Jennifer Lawrence like sets him straight and lets him know like, "Hey, you're wrong for doing this to your son," and
Good
blah blah
scene.
blah. And it was, bro, amazing. Like brilliant performances by both.
I cannot recommend this movie enough. Go watch it so that we don't have to dance around
Seriously,
talking about it and all
seriously.
that.
But what I do want to talk about is how is your mental health, my bro?
Well, for me, it's fine, but I think the point he's getting to is this movie tackles a lot of mental health issues, and it does it in a very good way, I would
Mm-hmm.
say,
Yeah.
because it humanizes it. And,
Yes.
it's easy to, when it comes to mental health or whatever, to dehumanize people based on whatever difficulties they may have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's just in my opinion, the exact way, opposite way you should not go about it. I don't know if that's a double negative, but I'm not meaning it to be.
You
um,
mean well, bro. I know.
yeah, but it's important to understand that people are people, even if they have difficulties in certain ways,
Yeah.
much like everybody else does. They should not be treated differently for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, everybody has their issues and all that, and so they should all just be, recognized. And even
Yeah.
though, uh, quote normal people might not have at least to that degree of problems, your own mental health, normal, not whatever. I don't even like to use that word, but
Mm-hmm.
it should be taken into consideration regardless of how severe others may not take it, and maybe even how severe you may not take it. If it's affecting your life in a super negative way, you should give yourself some time and maybe start to rethink some things, or give yourself some breaks, or whatever you need.
Yeah, and I also feel that too. To lead into the topic even furthermore, with relating to my own, I have been a victim of, I will say, like anxiety, depression, isolation. Um, and I remember going through my own fair share of like having just like, and if I'm being just raw and uncut, um, suicidal thoughts. I've had my own fair share of just going about that because of my psyche and minds playing like the old saying, minds playing tricks on you. And it's just like you have demons and you have these voices that's coming around your head, and it's like you don't know what to do. And so um it was for a while I had a read channel. Sometimes outside my YouTube channel where I do the reactions before I even did my podcast. um I was just really like, I would always, you see me on my videos, you're like, oh, here's a smiling positive guy who's out here just loving music and everything like that. But behind closed doors, people don't see the depression that sometimes that's really on my face outside of it, or when I'm going to sleep at late at night and I'm crying, or I'm just really just bored and just caught up in my own misery because of things that I have issues dealing with from time to time. But I notice that when I'm doing like reactions, or when I'm doing a podcast, or when I'm doing outside projects outside of it, um, I feel like I'm getting my therapy and I'm being able to help myself out beyond having to go through actual therapy. But I would love to have actual therapy as time goes on.
But yeah, as a quick bit of recap, me and him are both acting majors as well. He
Mm-hmm.
does communications double majors,
Yep.
which I'm not gonna do that. That's too much. But yeah, I've already kind of talked about this before, but acting for both of us, in a sense, is, he likes to call it therapeutic. I call it cathartic sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Same crux basically,
Yeah.
where it helps us to kind of get by day sometimes, because it allows us to step out of our comfort, necessarily not our comfort, but it allows us to be someone different for a bit.
F our comfort zone is what you mean.
Kind of, but I feel like that's a different point. But
Sure.
the idea is, you know, if you are having trouble with day-to-day things and stuff, and I also want to be clear about this, if you feel like maybe you haven't had a rough go of things, or had a rough life or whatever, maybe that's also a point of contention in your life too.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't ignore your feelings one way or another. You should confront them and understand them,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, the only one who can tell you about what you're going through is really you.
And whether that is for you to ask for someone help, seek it, and don't second guess whether you should not seek it, because if you second guess yourself, oftentimes you'll be stuck in a box, you'll be stagnant, and a lot of times you won't be able to put the pieces together, fix it. On top of that, I also recommend, if you are a believer, if you believe in God, or if you're just religious, regardless if you're Christian, Jewish, Muslim, whatever your faith is, go about seeking God and praying to Him, and just do something that will get your mind off something. Sometimes go outside and just do something that's very simple, like running or walking or listening to some music, or meditating. You know what I'm saying? Anything can really help you, just so that you can get out of your problems on a daily basis, because we're all human and we face them head on, and it doesn't get easy, but it can't be too hard for you to challenge it and beat it and defeat that problem
Also,
or issue.
as you might have noticed, he said he's religious. I
Well, not
myself,
necessarily religious, but spiritual.
spiritual,
Yeah.
right? What I'm gonna say about that is, I am not so religious or spiritual. However, I am very open-minded. The point of this podcast is to have different viewpoints discussed and understood from calm and collected manners. We want to be inclusive, and the way to have inclusivity is to be open minded and to understand other viewpoints. And so sometimes we will also have guests on, and we will talk about what they feel. Sometimes they're not all going to feel the same as we do. And some of them may get a bit vocal about their opinions.
Case in point, Colin Smith.
That's a friend of ours for new viewers. But the crux of it is that, regardless of the type of person we bring on, and what their viewpoints are, we and everyone who decides to listen to us or whatever, I want to have an open mind and just listen to them. You don't have to agree with them. You don't even have to like them, but they're going to be on, and the at least listening. That's all anyone needs to do right now.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we ask of you.
But on a different note, bro, what games have you played that have impacted you the most?
I've got a couple in mind. I may have mentioned it before, but one's called Spec Ops: The Line. It's a very, on the surface, it looks like a very typical third-person shooter from like the, I don't know, early 2010s, something like that. And it was made around the same time as Black Ops 2, I believe.
Okay.
And the reason it's so impactful is because the story itself is actually a take on games of that genre and shooter games in general, and it's kind of making a screwed up way. It's if you guys know this book or the movie, it's some of the ideas are based on the book Heart of Darkness and the movie Apocalypse Now. Now, if you know anything about those two, you're going to think to yourself, wow, that's really strange for a game to be like that. Josiah, for context, actually, I don't know if I can even give you context. Think Vietnam War, screwed up stuff, that type of stuff.
Do I think screwed
No,
up stuff?
that's what it's about.
Okay, gotcha.
At least Apocalypse Now. I didn't read the book, but they're very dark.
Isn't that a movie?
Yes.
Okay.
They're very dark, and the book is taking inspiration from those. So the game, and the game is poking fun, quote fun, poking at people who play shooter games and stuff, to sort of almost as a way to zone out and whatever. And the story of shooter games, which is just we're the good guys, they're the bad guys. We go here and we bang bang shoot them,
fight for rights,
kill the terrorists,
justice for all.
And it's questioning. It's kind of poking fun at you while still being a shooter of this is kind of screwed up when you think about it. Someone who goes through all that type of stuff is going to have PTSD and stuff, and it's just got a very almost gross feeling about it towards the end, because more and more, what's his name? I think his name is Captain Walker or something. He's got a crew of 2 other guys, and throughout the thing, they do more and more messed up stuff.
He's the main character, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they do more and more messed up stuff under the belief that they're doing good, or at least trying to convince themselves of that. And throughout the game, even the voice acting and like the things they say, it shows them getting more and more sick of each other and just hating the situation that they keep going in. And it's supposed to be taking place in a submerged Dubai, not submerged, but it's like in the desert, and the entire city's been taken over by sand and stuff. And the more and more you play the game, the more and more deeper into Dubai you get, which it's kind of supposed to be, emphasizing that you're going more and more into H word. I'm not going to say, but it's a very raw game. And you don't expect that out of something like that.
Wow.
I will not say much more about it, because you people, if you like playing video games and shooters and stuff, it's a very influential game for me.
Interesting. So I play the usual franchises. You have your Grand Theft Autos. You have your NBA 2Ks. You have. I'm not the biggest Madden fan.
Let me say, the game's called Spec Ops of the Line, if you want to look it up.
They came out in 2012, right?
Something like that. I don't remember the exact date.
So I mean, yeah, but it's just to be able to play modernly, like on I don't even know if modernly is a word, but anyways, if it plays modern on your system, as far as like your Xbox One or your PlayStation 4 or 5,
or what are you talking
like if the game is available to play on Xbox One.
Oh,
or
it'll
PlayStation
probably
5.
be like either PS3 and
PS3.
like computer, you can probably get on PC.
Ain't no problem with that.
So,
It shouldn't be no issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no excuse. If you want to play some older games, you play older games. I see a lot of
Might be
people
on
play
PS4,
older
but I
games.
doubt it.
Yeah, sure.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
I think it was around the same time as Black Ops 2. I think.
Okay.
But
Nice.
You were gonna say about
I think Black Ops 2 came out in 2013.
maybe.
It might.
But
Whoever.
you were gonna say about your favorite game?
Yeah, I was just going to say in general, like I play the usual Grand Theft Auto 5, or the Grand Theft Auto franchise. But I have 5 at home. I have what else do I have? I have Dota E2K. I have NBA 2K. I don't play any Madden games. I'm not the biggest like NFL Madden guy. Play, but I do play it from time to time. I just don't usually own a Madden video game.
Do you know a lot about Madden?
To some extent, it's football basically. You know what I mean? It's a football game.
Do you think that game in general has been very culturally impactful? From what you know,
I say yes. It's very significant for those that play it more so than I do. I can't necessarily say the same or pinpoint exactly how, but yeah, I'm quite sure it has its reasons. But that's not the games that I usually go for as far as my go-to.
Yeah. My point in bringing it up was that I think that's another one of those franchises that have been very culturally important for one reason or another.
Yeah, of course.
Because it has brought forth the idea of, let me gather my thoughts. It's created a big culture thing because fantasy football and all that stuff,
Yeah.
it's become a lot more popular and stuff due to things like Madden, 2K, all that stuff, because people are big into sports and the more interactive they can be with it, things like Madden and stuff just made it all the more enjoyable.
Yeah, that's dope. The only thing with that I would like I said, it's not trying to be, against or have like an unbiased or a bias, but I prefer playing NBA 2K rather than playing Madden.
Okay.
That's my point I'm trying to get at with that. But I think at the end of the day, if it, it's both of them are culturally significant. It's like those games, sport games. You can play your Friday 13s. I like that. I like my professional wrestling, of course. I don't care if it's fake.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, I don't care. I don't care if it's fake. Call me out. Yeah, I'm a nerd. I don't care. Yes. So, Dota E, 2K, I play that from time to time. I have 2K. I have 2K22, I think is what it's called. Yes, I have that. And then I have some other games regarding Dota E. I also have, I'm not the biggest Mortal Kombat fan. In terms of, no, I'll take it back. I am a big Mortal Kombat fan. I just don't have all the Mortal Kombat games. Or let it be known, I actually even had me a game that I own for Mortal Kombat. But no, I love Mortal Kombat. I have played most of them, but I haven't played all of the recent ones for the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. So, but big on Mortal Kombat, and but more importantly, I just play my wrestling games usually, and I've gotten to the point now, being at my age 21, where I'm not playing my games as much as I would love to or hope to do them like religiously. You know what I'm saying? Every single day. You know what I mean?
Older sucks.
It does. College education. Focus on your education.
Youth is wasted on the young.
Y'all
wasting your youths back at home. And some of you.
Yeah.
Some of you lost them.
Yeah.
Sucks for you.
Right. I know, man. It's crazy. I don't even have me in my own Twitch. I was thinking about getting a Twitch, but I'm like, no, because I'm not the most avid gamer. I don't think I think I would suck, honestly. Just being honest.
A lot of crappy Twitch players.
Yeah. And then the glitches are going to ruin everything. When you play something online with somebody, they'll think, oh, you are just trash by losing. It was like, no, that glitch helped you, and 2K helped you. And so when I'm playing NBA 2K, and if I'm playing my career mode, and I know I could hit that shot, that one slam dunk, and I don't make it because for whatever dumb reason, and I did exactly what the game told me to do, and hold on to the controls, that's going to really just set me off. I hate it. I cannot stand it.
Yeah. Are there any games that you would say have impacted you the most?
Oh, let me see. I say, depending on the game's genres that I play the most, yes, but I can't really narrow it down to what specific game I play. but it depends on what genre. So like I like a lot of action. So if it's a Spider-Man related game, I'll play Spider-Man, right? Or if it's something regarding Call of Duty, I'll play Call of Duty. I'll play Grand Theft Auto. I'll play the usual like popular games. I don't play Assassin's Creed like that. I never own that
Assassin's
Red Dead
Creed, in my
Redemption.
opinion, is okay.
Yeah, sure. I never played uh Uncharted. My cousin may have had a game.
But
Yeah.
what games
Mm-hmm.
like affected you the most? Do you know what I mean?
Wrestling,
Like wrestling?
wrestling for the most part. I would say if I had, because I played the most. And the main reason is because, like I said, I'm a huge wrestling fan.
Another thing to
Yes.
say, yeah, he is a huge wrestling fan. Sometimes when I'm hanging out with him, he'll be, watching some WWE in the background while I'm working on some editing or something. And,
Or
I
AEW.
ain't got no problem with it. People
Yeah,
people can watch whatever they want. It don't matter to me.
yeah. It's like at the end of the day, like you go about what you want to watch. It's your preference, and that's pretty much why I do it. So
Yeah, speaking of preferences, what music do you prefer?
hip hop.
Hip hop? Yeah.
I love rap, bro. I love like the art form of it, the history, the culture. Um, Educating yourself into being immersed with this idea that someone who has a way with words can influence a youth coming up, uh, like the substance aspect of like positivity and just different topics that any and everybody can relate to.
Yeah. Also, for those of you who don't know, Josiah over here has his own YouTube channel, Josiah Willis, where he reviews music and stuff. It's a little, obviously, it's a different format than what we do here. But the reason I bring it up is because he reviews all types of music.
Mm-hmm.
He'll review rock, he'll review rap, he'll review, all types of stuff.
R&B, pop.
And you were telling me before about why you're so willing to be exposed to all types of music instead of where some people will just review one genre.
Yeah,
So you want
yeah,
to talk about that?
yeah. My main reason is because I don't want to remain boxed in. When it comes to being open minded. So, like for instance, uh, the recent guest I've had on my channel has been Anthony here, and Anthony has done at least what 3, 4 reactions we've done on my channel.
Something like that.
Yeah, and Anthony told me how he feels like everyone has this misconception, this idea that they got something against musicals,
Mm-hmm.
and we really was we don't want to prolong how we detail like why it matters, but it's just things like that that people want to look over and overlook all the time. Like people think that, and I'm not saying that I'm the first one to do it, but a lot of times a black man or a black woman cannot enjoy listening to rock music if it is primarily like Caucasians who do music like that to that segue. But
Mm.
don't act like another one who's of my skin color cannot do that. They can pursue that and go about doing music. But I just think people need to be sometimes like I know it sounds like kind of weird and it may come off a little political, but it's not as political. People need to be free thinkers, and I think people need to be open minded to different ideas beyond music or what they go to as far as their music. So I get it. If you like listening to hip hop, if you want to go crazy and shout out bangers and whatever the case may be, that's fine. And if you are a guy who is all about the bars and lyrical, great. At the same time, recognize that with other genres you can also enjoy like reggae. You can also enjoy gospel. If you like Christian hip hop, it's out there. If you are a big country guy and you're from Tennessee or something, I mean, it don't necessarily have to be you're from Tennessee to listen to country music, but in general, everyone has a certain preference of what they want to go to and a bias. However, I think sometimes being a little more unbiased nowadays can help us evolve as human beings just by listening to music that isn't our also cup of tea, but if we give it its just due and give it its credit, we can point out um essentially if it sounds good, it sounds good. It's my motto I live by. If it sounds good, it sounds good. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna praise it up and down if I have to.
I agree. I think listening to other perspectives is something that's lost in modern day,
Yeah.
culture. Just because right now there's so many things and a whole lot of stuff in the world that has separated people from each other for one reason or another. And I think no matter what your beliefs are, you should come to the understanding that everybody should be more open minded. Uh,
Yeah.
just listen to other people's perspectives. While I'm on campus here, I get approached by all types of people, especially religious ones. There will be these people from different churches and stuff. I get approached by some people by the Catholic Church, some Christians. I think the other time I saw some Jewish people out in front where they were, talking to me. And personally,
Mm-hmm.
I actually like talking to those people.
That's dope.
I like hearing what they have to say.
Yeah.
And I like asking them about their beliefs because, believe it or not, some of them like to get challenged.
Yeah.
They like it. They like giving reasons as to why they believe what they believe. And
Yeah.
I like that they are willing to be open with me and bounce back and forth with me, not in a confrontational way, but in like a, if you want to or if you don't want to.
Yeah.
On the flip side, there's
Yeah.
some people on campus that I haven't run into them yet, but apparently they go by the, in my opinion, very closed-minded stance of like, oh, if you don't like believe in God and all that, you're going to heck. And,
Yeah, there's some that part. I remember just seeing it on campus early on, and there was people who were just sending out flyers of what's going to happen for those that's going to lead to damnation and all sort of stuff. Like, I am a Christian, but I'm a spiritual being, and I'm not religious. I don't say just because I'm a Christian does not mean I outside of even my YouTube channel or outside this podcast I don't cuss, or outside of my YouTube channel I don't particularly go about getting caught out of having flaws or being imperfect. Like, I feel like at the end of the day I am an imperfect human being, and that's why I know for a fact I need me a Lord and a Savior. Why I need to have reliance on God, not just because it was instilled in me at an early age, but because as time went on in my life, the way I would describe how I believe in it and why I believe in it so much is due to simply one word. It's one word: experience. And when you are able to be met with that experience and come to terms with it, and your eyes can really, really see, and I'm not saying this to be like, oh, I can really see because I have a third eye. Like, no, nothing like that. But I can see the way God shows Himself in a mysterious way that doesn't have to be overly preached. It doesn't have to be a sermon. It doesn't have to be me telling you how I'm better than you or yah because I have God, I have Jesus. I never proclaim none of that. I just know for a fact who I choose to believe, and if that means somehow getting someone saved or coming to know the truth, then so be it. But if it comes down to a point where someone does not truly want to go about it or they don't want to follow the faith, that's fine. But I look at it like this: they have their own way of getting there somehow, if it's not influenced by me, or rather it's just influenced by themselves individually. So, like, for instance, if Anthony somehow comes to the notion, oh yeah, I do actually see God, and it's not based on someone telling him about it or his family telling him about it, then that's when he'll come to the truth of it. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, because you're not believing in God, I'm going to be the judgmental, like, person and come down you and say, hey, you're going to go through this, you're going to go through that, and if you're not careful, bad things will happen. You know what I'm saying? And you shouldn't wish that on nobody, because at the end of the day, there's an old saying about karma. At the end of the day, you can suffer repercussions and not know, even if you are in right standing with God, doesn't mean that God will not somehow tell you, hey, you're doing something wrong. And He'll tell you without having to say words. He'll just show you.
Another thing, when we talk about religion and stuff, by no means, we've mentioned it before, but we are not trying to impress our beliefs on other people.
No.
We are simply talking about them. And that's something we want to do, by the way. We want to talk about damn near everything, maybe not so much politics, but we might talk about things that are happening, but we're not going to say, we believe this and you should too. We're going to just talk about it.
We give our reasons for why we do what we do. And back to what I was talking about regarding music, I'm like how you segue with that, because even with music, there's hidden meanings. There's languages being passed down from different cultures. You have all types of cultural people who go about music in a certain way, whether it is subgenres or it's just the main genre being uh, incorporated with something that's contemporary or modernized, right? And so I look at it like when I hear music from a day to day basis, I like to just try out different types of music and listen to it and listen to full albums or EPs. Because back then I wish I would have had appreciated music a whole lot more compared to how I appreciate it now. But when I'm doing my reaction channel, I realize that there's going to be people that's going to tell you reasons why they are not Christian, and there's going to be people who are tell you why they are Christian. I do Christian hip hop. I do gospel artists. There's been artists who have fell off in the gospel who don't believe in it no more. There's been artists who have who just now came into it, and they were mainstream artists and they were known for being very popular in the industry, and now they're starting to say, you know what, I come to knowledge of Christ and God and whatever like that because of this reason or that reason. It could be anything miraculous, but sometimes it can just be, I just want change. I just want to change myself for the better. And if that means sometimes coming into it, then so be it.
Man, another thing, this computer keeps bugging me because
Oh
it's
my
like,
gosh.
you've been idle. No, we haven't. We are talking on the podcast. You can look at it, but but yeah, I agree. You
Yeah.
know, maybe not, you know, necessarily from a religious standpoint,
Sure.
but belief system.
Sure.
Speaking of, how about you talk about why you named the podcast the King Life Podcast, like where that comes from?
Yeah. The King Life podcast is basically, well, King Life is a way of going about a philosophy I view myself in my life. I'm definitely going to name that into something eventually and incarnate that's my own brand, and I hope nobody steals it. Uh, but the King Life podcast is essentially me and him. I believe that me and Anthony are both kings. I say that respectfully. I say that in a full confidence, and
You mean
yeah,
not just us though?
not just not
Right.
just us, but the because we do this right, and it's not just the King's Life podcast. It's the King Life. It's just the King is just it's singular instead of being plural because any and everyone is one. They just have to believe that they are, and I believe that we are all royalty. We are all under leadership. We all have qualities of being what a king is. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's how you view it differently or you view it a certain way, and God necessarily be about royalty. But to me, it's just being who you are, treating others the way you want to be treated. It's all of the magnitude to be powerful in your speech and everything like that, and how we articulate our words and express ourselves. We are kings, and for those who are not male, you know what I'm saying, they are females, women, you're queens in my books. I consider
Kings,
everyone,
queens,
yeah,
whatever you want to be.
kings, queens. You know what I'm saying, and whatever you want to be, whether that you go about certain different sexuality, that's fine as well. However, I look at it like this: we are all just made to be who we want to be, and we have to believe in ourselves. And at the end of the day, that's all about just having faith in who you are or who you rely on, regardless of what. So,
Yeah, man. Here on this podcast, we're about, you know, everyone's the kings, queens, everything else.
yeah,
It's the idea is acceptance and, allowing people to express themselves the way they want to be and feel the way they want to be.
be different.
Hey, don't be different. You know what?
Be different.
Yeah. You're different from everyone else. Be that way. Take pride in that fact.
Yeah.
If we weren't different, things would be a lot more boring anyway.
Oh, we were all the same.
Yeah.
No one would be compared from each other. I couldn't have dynamic. There wouldn't be no rivalries. There wouldn't be no feuds. We want to have
no podcast.
there wouldn't be no podcast. You wouldn't be able to have someone who's on a podcast, along with his co-host or just hosts in general talk to each other about, hey, this is how I feel, and you can probably say, well, this is how I feel, and if we didn't debate about it or have some form of commentary, or I'll say conversation about it, then, and if we are agreeing with each other over and over, then it makes it seem as if like, oh, well, I'm a brown noser and you're a brown noser.
Yeah.
And we can't cite out a reason for our differences. unless we have we have strong arguments. But at the same time, it's not like we're getting emotionally invested. And I'm so mad at Anthony that I'm like, you know what? After doing this podcast, I'm never going to do a podcast with him again because he's just too this and he's too that, and he's highly opinionated, and I cannot stand his opinions because he's so critical about it.
Speaking of Colin, but we've said it 1,000 times. Different opinions, they all matter.
We know about his opinions.
Yeah,
social media rant.
Lets us know.
Yeah,
but that was a funny episode.
The infamous social media rant. Love it. And yeah, speaking of social media, we'll be having our podcast website done in the near future.
We're hoping so. We're going to have some help from the radio station to get that done. Yeah. We're also going to be putting out our podcast everywhere. You should be able to find a podcast, Spotify, Apple. Ignore that. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever else. Deezer. I don't know.
We'll make a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram page as well, alongside promoting this through YouTube.
Is that the plan? Facebook, Twitter, Insta? Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
I don't see why not.
As far as things of promotion and everything, we've been talking about this for a while.
Yep.
And trying to get everything set up. Like I said, this has been a thing which has been hard at work, and now it's coming into fruition, and it's awesome.
We definitely put the work in. What I can say, bro, what I admire about us both is that we had so much willpower to go about this podcast, because obviously we're both passionate. Even though we talk really kind of like calm and cool, collected within, the way we're keeping this conversation is because, and I just did alliteration right there. Cool, calm, collected conversation. That's great. Okay. Anyways, so the reason why we're keeping this calm about now is because it's our first time doing this in a radio setup atmosphere. And
it's cool though.
Yeah, it's really cool. And
by the way, you wouldn't hear where or necessarily, but I took a break in the middle of this, and I walked over to like the lounge, and there was a beanbag, and I just slept in it for about like 5-10 minutes, and then came back and was like, "Hey, where'd you go?
Let's go."
But yeah,
he was home up too much of my time, bro. I got times, I got things I even met as far as my schedules, bro. Like
you're trying to kid. You do this podcast,
got conflicts. Got nothing going. No, I don't got anything going on. No. Besides what I have to do for like college education and class assignments and exams coming up, but other than that, I'm not that busy. So
I'd be worrying about those exams. But besides
I know. But no, we're just going to keep on, showing forth how we're very passionate about this podcast. Is what I'm trying to get at, and we care. We take a lot of pride into it, and we treat it with such. And I think a lot of times, as going forward, we'll just keep on trying to make sure that we improve each and every single time. So no, we're not going to do this perfect all the time. We try our best to be as perfect as we can be, but until then, we just hope you guys can support us on this ride and we get somewhere eventually.
Yeah. Another thing, if you want to reach out to us, we are on our YouTube channel. We always check comments, so if you want to leave something there, you can reach to us that way, or maybe reach us through Insta. Maybe give an email to that email. I don't know. It'll probably be in like the YouTube channel's like description or something. Also, did you ever get to finishing Invincible? I showed it to him a bit ago.
I did, bro.
Yeah,
I did. I overall, I thought the series was phenomenal. Hands down. Like off the first. Remember how I went off about it like last time, where I said off the first instance it was a Justice League ripoff.
Yeah, making jokes about Batman. just a black Batman there.
What was his name?
His name was Darkwing.
Oh my god, Batman ripoff.
Yeah.
Anyways, but no, it was a ripoff.
Yeah.
But overall, no, the show was good. Tremendous cast, everyone from top to bottom. There are some points in that I was left frustrated about, but for the most part, overall, towards the end, I have a funny feeling that the series, as it prolongs towards the next upcoming season, which will be renewed at some given point. We don't know if it's going to be renewed. Even with this year, 2022, we're in September, so it should be renewed very, very soon and should come out later
They
this
keep
year.
pushing it back,
They
but
keep pushing
hopefully
it.
that means it's gonna be real good.
Yeah, that's very true.
I hope so.
The longer it waits, the better it's going to be shown. So,
if they need the extra time, hopefully.
that's true. And then they probably got to go about ideas. Writers got to come up with different inspirations and
Sure.
yeah, all that.
But it is also based off a manga, so it's
Yeah.
already got most of its groundwork laid out.
Nice.
So at least we know, as long as they stick to it, that the story is going to be good.
Yes, 100%. So like I said, I thought the show was great. From a grade, I don't normally put a grayscale or a ranking, but I'll give it an A plus. I thought, overall
yeah.
A plus. I'll give it an A plus.
Nice.
I probably should say A minus if I'm being honest, only because I think Invincible, the main character, Mark, he needs confidence. He needs to somehow stop getting his behind beat every single time. He keeps getting his behind beat, even with his dad pummeled like him almost to death towards the end of that series. And I'm just like, man, I cannot stand you. You think you're just so powerful, like you can just get away with killing your friends and then go about your lifetime about, well, word of truth this or word of truth that, and y'all, like, screw you, bro, screw you. But I love J.K. Simmons though. He's great.
Yeah, I think Omni-Man as a character is a very compelling and good one. But yeah,
What makes him good?
Good in the sense of compelling. Like I said, he's
compelling.
He's an interesting character.
Yes, he is.
And he spices up, definitely. He's the draw to that series, I think.
He's the draw, and he's like he's the main supervillain to me. I don't look at him as a superhero. To me, what he does is not heroic. It's thought in the first episode that he was.
A lot of it was.
I don't think it was.
Kill
all those people that you are being around
with,
but
he for a long time he was a superhero, and then he
but now he's made to be a supervillain from everyone's eyes.
Yeah, it was a front, obviously.
Yeah, but it's like this. My biggest thing was this: you married your wife, okay? Mm-hmm. Your wife is a human. You are what's the word they're called, Viltrumites or something like that. Viltrumites. So you're a different type of form of a being. You're not a human being. You're a supernatural kind of like being in a sense, right? You had stayed there on Earth for almost 2 decades. Matter of fact, it was 2 decades, I believe. I think that's what it was said during the show, like how long he's been staying there. And you mean to tell me after 2 decades, you knew already it was the plan by the time my son would get older, by the time my son would start gaining his powers and he would get caught up into doing what he has to do for himself, that it was right for me to go as far as to kill all the other superheroes that I had to do after waiting for 20 years, literally 20 years, alongside your wife and your son, and you killed him, and then to reveal to your son what's the truth about him and you, and that your wife, and he has the nerve. This character has the nerve to tell his son that he doesn't even care about the wife or the mother. He tells his son, "No, I don't. I look at her as like a pet." Like, how dare you? How dare you? I would be upset myself. Like, imagine being told that by my own dad. How would you feel if your dad even told you the same thing about that? Regarding your mother. I would feel like, bro, I want to hurt you. I'm sorry. I can't.
I don't know.
The gloves are off. The gloves are off.
Dissociative. I would feel like all of a sudden, none of this is real. Sure, I'm on a different planet. Yeah. I don't know what's happening.
Yes, it's like, bro, I don't even know what like. It's all shocking. That's why it was. I don't blame Mark for feeling he feel, because he was supposed to feel that way. He's like, what do you mean? Blah blah blah. Because he was hitting him with so much, and it was just like Mark was completely overwhelmed. He's like, wow, you really did do what you did. You killed everybody. And I looked up to them. I looked up to you the most because you're my father, but I looked up to him to you and them. And you have the nerve to say, oh, they don't exist. They don't matter. They're going to be left upon. I can't care about this girl named Amber that I go to school with, and me and her are romantically linked. So it's to hell with her now. So when he said that, it was like, bro, why are you trying to change my narrative? Why do you dictate my life? And I felt like that's relatable, because at the end of the day, it's like when a parent tells you, hey, you gotta play that sports. You gotta be playing sports. You gotta play football. You gotta play basketball, and you don't really want to do. You probably want to pursue music, and they're like, nope, sports. No, you gotta be athletic. You have to, bulk up. You have to drink your protein. You have to just do it. But you don't. Your heart's not really in it. You hate it. You don't love it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what I'm getting from Mark's perspective is, I'm a superhero. I'm coming into a superhero. I'm not like you, but I aspire to be like you. And yet you're telling me for what you did in this world for literally like 20 years plus, it doesn't mean anything no more. So now we got to cast that away and then go back to our truthful place and then destroy other nations and kill them and be essentially murderers on Earth or in the world in general. So it's like, that's why I don't have too much respect for Omni-Man. Now, keep in mind, this is the first season. I hope towards the next season we get more layers about Omni-Man, and maybe, just maybe, I will be sympathetic towards him. But right about now, I do not care about his character.
I hope Omni-Man is in the second season.
I want him to be killed.
I don't.
That's what I want.
I don't know how they're going to incorporate him, but I think it's very important that he's in the second season because that's what people want to see right now. Is more Omni-Man.
Sure. But I
want to see.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, don't get me wrong. Some of the layers about his character is pretty savage. I like it.
Made the show.
It is true. That is true. It's just that we're. Yes, you're right. Because you know what I'm saying, and it does rely heavily on him beyond just every other character throughout the show. But I also like the other characters. I like, just everyone having their different roles. You got the silly ones and
in
serious
general,
ones.
it's just a very good, well-written show.
It is, man. And what I love about it is that they do showcase people who have strengths and people who have weaknesses. But what I love about the show is that there's an improvement to be made for everyone. And I feel like Omni-Man, I think the theme throughout this whole entire series was that everyone needed to improve. Everyone needs to improve when it came to the relationship. Everyone needs to improve when it came to be a superhero, being committed, being dedicated, even having to accept their own flaws and recognize their wrongdoings. But sometimes even those who we don't think has the slightest sense of care will ultimately tell you, I don't, and have to wait over 20 years to tell you that.
Side note, I have no idea why he waited so long, by the way. He's Omni-Man. He seemed to have taken out the Guardians pretty well.
That's what I'm saying.
What did you wait for?
Why did you wait all that long?
And everything else. I hope they maybe expound on that a bit for the second season.
Yes, please.
But,
yes. Because he took the longest. He kept denying it. He kept denying it over and over. I didn't do that.
And also, throughout the show, I think he showcases that what he says towards the end, he doesn't believe because everything else in the show shows that. And I think he's just playing it up for the last part to act like he don't care, but then eventually it gets the best of him and shows he does care, and then he runs away. So,
Yes, with the flashback of him and Mark when Mark was a little boy. And he's playing baseball, and at first, because he didn't want to be over there, right? Yeah. He was like, "Oh, I don't want to leave here. What's the point of this?" And then,
yeah. But I think we're running out of time.
Oh, can I give a review right quick towards Cobra Kai? Season 5.
You can make it quick,
was awesome, you guys. If y'all have not seen Cobra Kai Season 5, it was a great, great series. Came full circle for a lot of different things regarding the show. Anthony still here is a bystander of not fully watching the show, so I want him to grasp it and take it all in when he watches the show fully. But once again, I can't force him, unless he forces me. But he did put a gun to my head earlier, so
you right.
Just so you guys know,
you right. I'll try to. All right,
please.
I've just, of course I'm busy with stuff, but I'll try.
Por favor.
Yes,
please.
So, coming to a close. It's about that time, and you want to close this off?
Yeah, well, you guys, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, comment, and views. Put your minds out there. This will be on YouTube.
Come see us on the King Life Podcast on YouTube, and soon everywhere you can find a podcast. You can probably just type it in. So.
Yep, and we should have our platform on what platforms again? As far as?
Maybe Spotify, maybe Google Podcasts, Deezer, Apple Podcasts. Like I said, everywhere you can find a podcast.
And we are also partnering.
We will get more specific and talk about it probably next episode about where to find us. So.
And we will also partner with WWSU Radio going forward. They will also promote this on their channel alongside having our channels separately.
In the Fairborn and Dayton area in Ohio, 106.9.
Alrighty. King Life, we are out.
Yep. See you guys.